Welcome to Summary of the Week, your quick guide to the top headlines. Today is Saturday, July 5th. Here's a recap of some of the major events this week. Saturday morning started with a bang. Ukrainian military intelligence forces reported that it launched drone strikes in Russia's Bryansk Oblast in what officials called demilitarization operations. According to the main intelligence directorate, GUR, the drones targeted facilities belonging to the 120th Arsenal of Russia's main missile and artillery directorate. On social media channels popular with locals, there were reports of heavy gunfire and explosions throughout the morning. Ukraine also marked Constitution Day on Saturday. Polish President Andrzej Duda visited Kyiv to reaffirm Polish solidarity amid growing fears of waning backing for Ukraine under his successor, nationalist Karol Nawrocki. His visit comes as countries bordering Russia, including Poland, Lithuania, and yes, Ukraine, signal their withdrawing from the Ottawa Treaty banning anti-personnel landmines, citing escalating threats from Moscow. On Sunday, in comments to Slovak broadcaster STVR, Slovakian Foreign Minister Juraj Blanar called on the West to forgive everything that has happened in order to end Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. A week prior, Slovakia and Hungary vetoed the EU's 18th sanctions package on Russia, citing their need to rely on Russian energy imports. Then, on Monday, Germany's foreign minister, Johann Wadephul, visited Kyiv. He announced that Germany is pledging €2 billion to bolster Ukraine's air defenses. The pledge came in the wake of weeks of intensified Russian missile and drone attacks that have killed dozens and damaged critical infrastructure. Wadephul said that Russian leader Vladimir Putin seeks Ukraine's total capitulation, not negotiations. Video was released on social media Monday by Ukraine's 20th Separate Unmanned Systems Regiment. The video shows two Cameroonian men who claim they were tricked into coming to Russia to make shampoo and to get their teeth fixed, only to be forced into military service and sent to fight in Ukraine, where they then surrendered. Overnight, Monday to Tuesday, Ukraine launched a wave of strikes targeted at key Russian military assets across occupied territory and deep inside Russia. In occupied Crimea, Ukrainian drones reportedly destroyed a Panzer S-1 air defense system, several radar installations, and a Su-30 fighter jet, high-value assets that are costly and difficult for Moscow to replace. Further east, a suspected Storm Shadow missile hit the headquarters of Russia's 8th Combined Arms Army in occupied Donetsk. Meanwhile, Ukraine's security service, the SBU, claimed responsibility for a long-range drone strike on the Kupol Missile Plant, located some 1,300 kilometers or 800 miles inside Russian territory. Tuesday, July 1st was Canada Day, and Canada continues to be a strong Ukraine supporter. This week, Kyiv announced that Canada sent $2.3 billion Canadian dollars, or $1.7 billion US dollars, to Kyiv under a new G7 plan that uses the proceeds from frozen Russian assets to benefit Ukraine. In other good news for Ukraine, Ukraine's Ministry of Finance reported that the IMF approved a $500 million disbursement that had been contingent on Ukraine passing a review. The new aid comes at a crucial time for Ukraine. Also on Tuesday, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced that USAID, the primary U.S. government agency responsible for administering civilian foreign aid and development assistance worldwide, will shut down. And another agency whose funding was cut by the Trump administration, the Ukraine Conflict Observatory at Yale University, will continue operations until at least October 1st, thanks to private donations. The Ukraine Conflict Observatory is the leading organization that tracks the thousands of Ukrainian children abducted and taken to Russia since 2022. On Monday, a bipartisan group of leading U.S. lawmakers also introduced a congressional resolution calling for the return of all abducted Ukrainian children before finalizing any peace agreement between Ukraine and Russia. On Wednesday, the U.S. had reportedly once again paused military aid to Ukraine, sparking fresh concern in a country already struggling to defend itself against relentless Russian aerial attacks. To make matters worse, reports suggest North Korea plans to send another 30,000 troops to support Russian forces, while 50,000 Russian troops are now reportedly massed close to Ukraine's Sumy region. U.S. military aid to Ukraine remained in limbo on Thursday, State Department officials scrambled to contain the fallout, reportedly learning of the aid pause only after the Pentagon pulled the plug. The Pentagon said the pause was due to an audit of the U.S.'s stockpiles. The contradiction is in line with Politico's assertion that the pause had not been coordinated, especially considering Trump's recent public nod to consider Patriot deliveries to Ukraine. In the evening, Trump held a phone call with Russian leader Vladimir Putin. Trump said he was very disappointed with the call. "I don't think he's looking to stop," Trump said. Not long after the Trump phone call with Putin Thursday evening, Kyiv began to be filled with the sound of Russian drone attacks. Friday morning, on the 4th of July, when Americans celebrated their Independence Day, Ukrainian firefighters were putting out fires throughout Kyiv. The Russians struck Ukraine with a reported 550 missiles and drones in their overnight attack. Meanwhile, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov sent a congratulatory telegram to U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Independence Day, expressing hope that relations between the two countries will gain stability and predictability. Thanks for watching this week's Summary of the Week. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay informed.